I think we killed the dumper. Poor old Humpty Dumpty. Hey folks, welcome back to the big barn build. We got a good exciting week this week. We're doing a bit more of the footings, made some changes, and Tom's over there, he's working on the south end, which is a bit of a mess. More on that in a minute, but stick around and I'll show you what we've been up to. Okay, so here we are. We're looking out west, out into the fields. This is where we were going to use the existing foundations or the existing bottom couple of courses of block work and add to it. What we've realized is it's not quite as deep as it could be. And although we could have probably worked with it and underpinned or whatever, it was easy to just get it gone. So what we've done is change to a 550, 600 wide, which is what it would have been anyway. And we're just going to start from scratch. So it's deep, we're where we need to be, and this whole side is now ready. The front is ready as well, apart from we've kind of left a bridge in the middle so we can get vehicles in, because the aim is to use concrete trucks to get in to do all the pours to avoid the need for a pump. There will be time and needed for a pump, but if we can minimize that, all the better. We've got internal footings to do. I'll share that on a floor plan in a minute, but this is what we're looking like up the south end. It's pretty much a crater. We are trying to remove all of the stone, which is basically built up ground. So these footings are down on the original ground level. This would have been a bank. What we're discovering is that from the other side of the silage clamps right over there, which is the natural original ground level, that field, what would have been a field, well, it was actually an orchard 100 years ago, came all the way down, and this is basically being cut into the hillside, which would explain a lot. It would explain why all of the footings that end we hit sand and rock really quickly, because we're already essentially 2 meters underground, the original ground level. And then down this end we've got the retaining wall beyond the barn and some built up stone, so we're getting rid of all the stone. You can see in the pool the layers of hard ground that we've hit. So the plan is, rather than trying to do some sort of raft, thickened slab and a lot of steel work, we're just going to go down until we hit the original ground, which we have here. We'll come back in with a smaller bucket to actually dig the footing. But you can see all of that depth there is pure type 1 stone. So it's good stuff. We're going to remove all that. We're going to leave that area at the top because that's just terrace. There's no need to remove everything. We'll dig our footing, get rid of these stubs of steel. Remember, this is actually floor height, almost just above floor height. So we'll get them gone, get their pads out, and then we've got a trench all the way along with kind of sloped banks that hopefully not too much is going to fall back in. Then we can backfill when we need to. Once we've got block work in, let me show you the stonework, the stone. Yeah. So if we didn't have enough crushed concrete already, we've now got probably 100, 200 tons of type 1 stone coming out. We can start an aggregates merchants here. It is good stone that we're pulling out, and this should be enough to lay a good 50mm top layer along the whole track, and then it'll be nice stone on the top of the track rather than concrete. Down this end, what we've done is we've decided to keep these sections of wall in as already planned, and we'll dig down, put our new footing on the outside. This is kind of just helping retain everything while we do the pool. The new pool will sit about 250, 300mm in from the dig, and then we'll have this strip to backfill. There's your roundup. I've made the coffees. I've turned into the tea boy. Tom did all the work yesterday. I was in the digger, and he knocked all these walls down, and he was in the trench following up behind, digging everything nice and clean and tidy. So he's definitely earned a day in the seat. Now I need to do a bit of dirty work and get digging. And I know it's just starting off this video with a bit of chat, but I think we killed the dumper. Poor old Humpty Dumpty. He was struggling a little bit, and I've got a service booked. a local guy and trying to pin him down at the moment. He was going to order all the filters and everything he needed, but then the last 2 days it was spluttering a bit and getting a bit smoky, black smoke. So I was like, oh, maybe it's just unburnt fuel and the air filter's blocked or something like that. However, then it started doing all sorts of loud chuggy noises, not starting that well, and then just stalling and dying, and it died here. Well, and then we shunted it in. So I don't know, maybe there's a simple explanation, but I have the feeling it might have been used and abused to the point where it probably needs a bit more work than just a service. Lunch break. This time we've moved the digger down into what we just cleared out, which is our like initial trench, and we're going to clear everything down to the hard ground, which we've done to this point. We need to do it all the way to the other side. Then we're going to swap the bucket over in here and get hopefully a nice trench that doesn't just keep collapsing like it would if it was in this stone. You can see there I've just hit the soil, but the nice thing is it's rock solid, the soil. This is a proper job. We haven't even seen any, not even a single brick chucked in here. It's just clean stone. It was all going swimmingly, and we just pulled up the post like a carrot as I was swinging it around, and then I dropped it. Now it's kind of stuck in there. Luckily we didn't smash a window or a pipe or anything, but we're gonna have to cut that steel as low as we can from the concrete, and then see if I can get past it. I've brought the tractor in, but we probably don't want sparks flying all over the digger anyway, so we're just going to use the reciprocating saw. So far, when we're talking about blades, I mentioned them in the last video, or one of the previous videos, but never actually told you which we were using. So in the small angle grinder, we've got a DeWalt metal cutting blade, and that has been the most impressive tool so far. I've had it, well, I've done all sorts with it. It says 1,000 cuts on it, but we've done far more than that, including steel columns. So it's this one here, DeWalt extra metal 1,000+ cuts. So it's, instead of using a disc that shatters and wears down, that just goes and goes and goes. So, and although it's thin and you're not meant to, you can just do a little bit of grinding with it because it's a solid metal disc. And then in the reciprocating saw, we're using Bosch blades, which are, so it just says flexible for metal, fast cut, long life, Bosch bimetal. So those are doing a good job, and actually bizarrely we've been able to cut through whole steel columns with that, where we couldn't get to, or we had no blade for the big angle grinder. The big one, which is a great grinder, sort of a lot of power for the money, one of the Hitachi or Hikoki ones. We just use normal blades in that this time round, but as you can see, that one's absolutely knackered, and this is just so seized. It's a bit of a pain right now. You can't get it off at all. And finally, the other blade we've been using is I think it's a smart, no, it's one of the tool station owned ones, but it's for the multi-cutter, the multi-tool. That is their most expensive own brand one. I can't remember the name of it, but that's actually been really good for cutting bolts and things we couldn't get to, especially under corrugations with sheets or anything like that, or in the barge boards. So between those 4 blades, we're kind of getting there. Are you through the far side already?
Yeah, I'm right down to the...
That's nuts that it gets through.
Yeah, once it's
when
gone
it is
past that.
Well, these ones.
That must have cut through 4 steels.
Yeah. It's only if it catches that it bends.
Yeah.
I mean, we don't need them to be this long, really. That was only so we could reach stuff. 225. I reckon you could do 150 and
Yeah.
be stronger. Right, we cleared the way and now we're going to mark up. We switched buckets. Hopefully we'll end up with a neat trench that won't collapse in too much. We should only need to go about 450, 500 here because we're on solid ground, pretty much on the sand.
Line the wood up, I'll lift it.
Line the wood up, then wind it in, and then work towards me. Right. Right, it is Friday, so I'm working solo. I've just got a few hours to finish off this trench. We did a really good job yesterday because there was a lot of material to shift. I'm just going to try and get this last little section done and we can get the digger out of here, because now we've got to this point, there's no going back. Okay, well, good news is our little strip between pool and wall stayed put. Bad news is I'm really bad at keeping a straight line when I'm working on my own. So I went off on a bit of an angle when we hit the last steel. We were kind of good, and then obviously as I came round the corner, I stupidly just swung out too much. So I think we're okay. Might just have to chisel out a little bit on this side. We should be about 100 mil in from the steels. About 400 out from the steels, so we're great until Tom left. Pretty much the same height as base of the pool now, and it does make me think that actually it might be easier if we do need to do much more work in there. Don't think we do. I imagine most of that I can grab from up top, but it wouldn't be that difficult to just cut through here, build the 2 walls and backfill afterwards. In actual fact, it might be an easier way of just doing the pool to start with, just basically carve out and go in here. Equally, it would make a wicked back cave, because you could drive in through this door, swing in, door comes up, drive in and emerge in the house. Probably be cheaper actually than building that pool. But anyway, I'm going to spend the rest of my day editing and doing some quotes and supplier emails. Now, our roofing contractor, who does huge warehouses and big jobs, has also quoted for the asbestos removal because they're licensed for that, and it's pretty much on par with a local company. So I'm kind of thinking, if they've got to come and get their scaffolding up, the main benefit with the way they work is they don't need big, they don't need scissor lifts or anything, so they don't need the slab down, they can get on and do it. And he's actually just emailed me and said they've got an availability in 2 weeks' time. So we're still going backwards as far as construction goes, but some progress somewhere, I think. So I guess I'm going to leave you with some questions. We're using a 300mm timber I-stud construction, which we'll frame up on site ourselves. Outside of that will be brick, cladding, all that sort of stuff, but the actual main part of the wall is 300mm stud wall. That will sit on on the footing and some new block work. So you can get a 300mm trench block, which in my mind makes sense because that will come up, you know, most of this can be made up blocks underground. And then we'll get to the point where the floor insulation intersects with our wall insulation, and that is a typical place where people don't detail right, and there's a real big cold bridge. And when you've got a perimeter which is over 100 meters, that's a big kind of hindrance on the thermal performance of the building. So we're looking at options there. We're now going to be putting our insulation down on the sound blinding with our one and only structural slab above. That's better for a number of reasons, not the least just finances. Therefore, on top of the trench blocks, certainly on the internal walls where they go all the way down to a footing, we're going to be looking to use Marmok's thermo blocks. So if anyone's used those, it'd be interesting to hear. They are an insulated structural block, basically like, I mean, they're not cheap, but they are you put a course of them down. They're made of some sort of PIR foam. Maybe not PIR, yeah, it might be, maybe XPS. But either way, if you've ever used foam tile backer boards, they look like a big thick one of those. Marmok's make tile backer. But inside that block, there are concrete columns which are supported, so you could use it on a multi-story building. And we've been recommended them by a number of people, and I think that's the route we're going to go. So they are expensive, but that's what the walls will sit on and thresholds will sit on, because that just gives that thermal break between everything. If anyone's got any better ideas, let us know. Of course, the concrete's got to go in first, and that's the priority. And then, depending on which route we go, if it's just standard concrete blocks or something, then I'm probably going to get someone in, but I might be wrong. Trench blocks, I don't think you actually mortar. Do they go on a bed, but you don't have to, there's no perps? I don't know. Either way, if they're just big, light and easy-ish to lay, then Tom and I could do that. Then we can get it really bang on, because we're doing the timber framing. We will know how important it is to get that last course smack bang where we want it, so that the plate can go down and we don't have to be doing too much messing around. It has been really nice though, working with a roof over us ourselves, especially shade more than anything. But if the offer's there to get this asbestos off, there's no better time to get asbestos off than sooner rather than later. So get it gone, get it sealed, skipped, whatever they do. I'll just clear off for the day, or 2 days, however long it takes. Then they're going to leave the scaffolding up, which, providing it doesn't get in the way, will be fine. They do need netting, I think, so I need to query that to make sure the netting won't get in the way of concrete trucks. However, if it could get in the way of the concrete trucks, that would push us to get the concrete done. We get the concrete done, and then whilst the roofing stuff's happening, we can get the blocks going in as well. It's all go. Right, I need a cup of coffee. Thanks for watching. Any questions, let us know down in the comments. If you've missed all the videos that have come up to now and you just stumbled across this video randomly, then you can go back. There's probably 1,000 videos or so from all aspects of DIY, but now our biggest project ever, and hopefully the biggest and the last biggest project, is converting this into our dream home. So there's a whole playlist. You won't be short of content. Head over there, make sure you subscribe. But that's it. Thanks for watching. Remember, if you can, do it yourself, and we'll see you next time.